Assalamualaikum and very good morning. I'm Shazalina Zahari and I'm absolutely thrilled to be your host today. We have an incredible lineup of accomplished alumni who are here to share their wisdom and experiences with all of you. So let's take a moment to acknowledge and welcome some special individuals who have made this event possible. A big thank you to UMBI's Director, Associate Professor Dr. Nur Azan Abdul Murad, our Chairperson of Club Alumni UMBI, Dr. Nurul Hanis Ramzi, our club advisors, Dr. Nadia Abu and Dr. Siti Aisyah Sulaiman. We're also grateful for the presence of the President of Kelab Siswazah UMBI, Nurul Nadia Muhammad Zamri, and the hard work put in by the director of today's program, Muhammad Nafis Haidi Adrus. To all our esteemed researchers, alumni, staff, students, and friends, thank you for joining us. Today is all about learning and growth as our alumni share their insights to inspire and empower you in your own careers. So without further ado, let's dive into this exciting event. Get ready to be inspired, to connect, and to embark on a journey of knowledge and self-discovery. Thank you, and let's make the most of this incredible opportunity together. So for your information, Career Options Beyond Academia, COBA in short, is a collaborative initiative organized by the Kelab Siswazah UMBI with the cooperation from Persatuan Alumni UMBI that aims to expose UMBI's postgraduate students about the career path after graduation, especially in the industry. This project is one of the many sub-projects proposed by Kelab Siswazah UMBI as an effort to strengthen students' both soft skills and hard skills to prepare for the upcoming working demand after graduation. In the longer run, this project may serve as a tying effort between both Kelab Siswazah UMBI and Persatuan Alumni UMBI to organize more constructive programs and in turn improve the institution's performance and achievement. First, I would like to invite Dr. Aisyah to give some opening remarks. Dr. Aisha?
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, Doctor, loud and clear.
Okay. Assalamualaikum and a good morning to everyone. Thank you for coming to this sharing section. First of all, I would like to congratulate our Kelab Siswazah UMBI and alumni for their effort in organizing this event. Honestly, I think they did a good job. So well done, everyone. And it is my pleasure as well to welcome and thank our panelists today. They are also our alumni for taking their time to come this event and share their experiences to the students. I hope that this sharing session will shed some lights or give some ideas to the student as well as to the others as well on what career path they could take after graduation and beyond academia. So with that in mind, I hope that everyone who came here today will benefit from this session. Thank you and enjoy the talk. Pass back to you, MC.
Thank you, Dr. Aisha. So now let's meet our esteemed speakers who will be sharing their expertise and experiences with us today. Each of them brings a unique perspective and valuable insights to the table. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Priya Jeyaraman, Mr. Muhammad Afiq Osman, and Dr. Rashida Baharudin. So now let's get to know our first speaker, Dr. Priya Jeyaraman. She's in more detail. Dr. Priya is currently a medical manager at Sanofi, overseeing the medical strategy and execution of cardiovascular therapy in Malaysia and Singapore. Previously, she held the position of medical science liaison at Mundi Pharma, wearing multiple hats, including being the country MA lead for pain management with opioids. Before that, she conducted transcriptomics research in oncology, specifically colorectal cancer, during her time at UMBI under the supervision of Dr. Nadia. Dr. Priya also has experience working as a clinical research associate at Novartis and as a medical sales executive at Biomed Global. With her diverse background and expertise, we are delighted to have Dr. Priya share her insights with us today. The stage is yours, Dr. Priya.
Hi, thank you. Is my voice loud and clear?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so I'll just share the screen. Okay, this is visible, right?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so thank you first of all for inviting me. Thank you, the whole UMBI team. I miss you guys. Wanted to see you guys in person, but okay, this is fine. So I'm Priya to the adik-adik that I've not met before. So today I'll just share my experience. It's not presentation, it's just an experience of how my career journey started. If you have any questions while I'm going on, chatting away, please stop me at any time. Or if you want to wait till the end also, it's okay. But as long as you make use of this whole 1 hour session with all the speakers, I'll be very happy. Right. So very briefly, this is how I started my journey. If you notice, I never had a very straightforward journey, and I knew that I didn't want to be in academic. But having said that, I've tried all sorts of industry before I finally knew where is my footing, where is my strength. So the takeaway message from this particular slide, right? I just want you all to reflect on yourself. Where is your strength and work on it? If you notice, I've been as a vegetable seller before my degree time. I've been a restaurant cashier. I've been a receptionist. But every journey of this whole career path has taught me something, right? So after my degree, I went into sales. That was my first out of academic exposure. I went into sales and application. That time it was not Biomed Global, it was a local company. And then got an opportunity to do my master's. So before that, I had few 1-2 months break. I didn't want to waste that time. I became a receptionist in a recruiting company. So basically what I did was, hi, good morning, how may I help you? Things like that. But then I learned a lot of soft skill during all these little things that I did. Then got into academic. I was there for about 4 years, private institution, how it worked. And that made me realize that, I think my strength and my skill, I could use it in a different path. And to jump from academic to MNC to corporate. So I'm in a pharmaceutical industry. This was a big challenge because the thing with corporate is you need experience. And even with they have a very strong educational background, they will always come back to experience. So my experience before my corporate was not a full-blown corporate. So this was a challenge. And then the interview process, maybe I could share this in a different setting. How does the MNC interview process goes on, right? It's like 4 or 5 layers where you have to present and so on. So yeah, finally got it in. Then I always wanted to finish my PhD, and I had some personal reasons to, just quit my comfortable job. Got into studies under Dr. Nat. Is Dr. Nat in? Okay, so I finished my studies, and my second baby was a PhD baby as well. So the journey was not very easy. And now I'm a medical manager, as how it was introduced. I'm now taking care of a therapy area called cardiovascular. So when in industry, you'll be divided into therapies. So I was doing oncology. So all my connections were oncology for the past 8-9 years. So now I'm taking a new therapy area. So it is cardiovascular. So I have to build from scratch again, but this is what I like. It challenges you to do more. So a big leap of progress, I would say, because of all the hard work. So now I'm managing Malaysia and Singapore, and hopefully let's see what lies ahead. Okay, so whatever that I'm sharing right now, I just want you guys to take note on, maybe this is where you like, your liking is in future. Just really, I'm just sharing, maybe if your liking is in R&D or academic, then your path will be different. I just want to expose you guys, because when I was doing my degree, I didn't have much exposure of the other side of the world, right? But thank God I had some very good mentors who showed me the way. So I just want to share what are the things that we do. Do have a deep analysis within yourself. Is this what you want to do? And if, let's say, this is where you think your strength and skills are, we could always catch up after the session, or along the way. Maybe we can always help each other out. Yeah. So what does the medical managers do? Before a product is launched, you will have a pre-launch molecule. It's not even a drug in the country, right? So the pre-launch, you have to make sure that the product is developed correctly, compliant, and all sort of things. So before the product is launched, you will have the clinical trial team, which is in the phase 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we have learned this in our syllabus before, right? So that's where the clinical team will go in. If you are interested in doing a lot of clinical researchers, audit trail and all, you could go get into the pre-launch of the drug. So I've been there, so I know the strength. I know how difficult it is, but it is super challenging, and it's very fun because you're bringing in a new drug to the country, and you have the first access, and you will know, you will decide practically whom do you want to give this drug to. You might give it to your hospitals or private settings or government settings. So there's a lot of strategic thinking as well. Then once the product is marketed, then we call it a post-launch of the drug. That's when the strategic thinking, the planning, and everything else comes. So there's a pre and post-launch of a product. And what's the medical team will do? So in pharma, there's two. So Afiq is under medical device, and I am under the pharma, the diagnosis part. So we are the link between the medical expertise, regulatory requirements. Why regulatory? Because these drugs are not over-the-counter drugs, it's by prescription. So regulatory comes in. We work with regulatory very, very all the time, yeah, because we have to ensure that it is safe. The product is safe, the drug is safe for the use of the patients. And then you will see this word a lot when you go into corporate, which is commercial success. You will be contributing to the overall growth of the commercial success and also the company. So this is where you will need your business acumen skill, which is not something that we are taught during our pure science background. So how do you get this? Keep on updating yourself, keep on sit for all the certifications, the business skills, and there's always a way for you to find all these. So medical strategy, this is what I'm doing now. I'm specifically focusing on how do we strategize, which drug to bring in, which drug can be pruned meaning to say that we stop from coming into the country so that we can bring in other cardiovascular drugs. What is the need of the patient in Malaysia? And so on. So for this medical strategy, we will deal a lot with our key policymakers from the KKM, from the private sectors, from the companies, and so on. KOL management, this is key opinion leaders. So for now, I am under cardiovascular. So my KOLs are all the cardiologists and also the team who's working with cardio. Okay, that's my daughter beside me. Okay, you can also go into medical affairs. This is something that I'm taking care of, where a lot of medical communication. So this is a tip for you guys, right? So medical communication is a very big thing right now. There's a lot of local companies who are doing on medical comm. It's like a PR company, but you have to write and present your medical data. Ipsos, for example, is one example that I could think of, right? So it's a market research company, but you have to communicate and present the medical data to your customers. Your customers could be hospitals, pharma company, or institute, or so on. So if you're very good in your writing and you can present the data very well, you could, besides an academic, this is something that you can think of, something that you can consider. It is medical writing. So another one is MIMS, M-I-M-S. I'm sure you have seen this magazine. These are the companies that always recruit medical writers. Okay. Regulatory compliance, yes, I've mentioned this, how important is regulatory in medical departments. So I oversee the regulatory as well, but in MNCs, we will have our own PV team, pharmacovigilance team, that works 24 hours because this is very important drugs, very usually cardiovascular patients, they are, they're already very sick and they have other comorbidities, right? So this is already 24 hours work. Clinical trial support, this is when I mentioned, you could get into the pre-launch of the product, and most of the time for now, I'm assessing proposal from institutions or from hospitals or department of hospitals where they want to do a study. So they will request to me for grants. So it's called education grant. I have to go through the proposal and see whether it's feasible. So where's my support comes is in terms of cash and in terms of the drug. So far, I've never had any requests from universities, but you guys can always approach pharma companies. I know, for example, Pfizer, they have a grant for universities. So go and approach. Rejection is very common, but it's a start if you want to go, if you want to get grants outside of just academic grants. Yeah. So training and education is this is continuous. I give my training and education to the teams, especially the commercial teams. Medical risk assessment. Okay, as I mentioned, when you are doing a strategy, you have to always weigh in whether the benefit outweighs your risk, whether when you bring in certain drug or when you do certain projects, for example, what are the risks? Okay, this is very standard thing that you have to deep dive when you have certain projects. Scientific exchange to your external stakeholders, to your internal stakeholders. So you will see me in most of my social media, so I'll be going to a lot of conferences. It's not just to network, it's actually to keep ourselves up to date so that when I do my policies in the company or when I do a risk assessment, I know what is the current guideline and how do we tweak or change our approach in terms of the drug flow or the patient flow. Market intelligence, it's very interesting if you like numbers, if you like scientific data. So you do market research on what is doing well, which pattern, which drug is doing well, who are your competitors, what is their key unique selling point, they call it USP, and then how do you stand out. So in medical, that we are very unbranded, unbiased. You always give your data based on scientific evidence, based on your studies, your clinical trials, your literatures. So yes, I browse literatures almost every day for minimum 2 to 3 papers every day. So it continues right from PhD. So this is something that you always have to keep up to date. You have to, keep polishing your knowledge. So market intelligence, I think another area that you guys can actually really explore. So maybe you want to check on Ipsos later, that it's a market research company where they collaborate with the pharma companies a lot in terms of identifying market trends. You as the medical person in these kind of companies, what you will do is basically you will do the questionnaires, quantitative, qualitative. So your people who are very good in statistics, this is something that you can consider. Okay, how long do I have more? 5 minutes?
Roughly around 8 minutes.
Okay, right. So I just want to share what are the opportunities that is in medical team, in pharma, in corporate. So bigger the MNC, bigger the roles and bigger opportunities for you to explore. But this is just to introduce you guys, to expose you guys. These are the things that you could get into if you have interest in corporate. I started as MSL, a junior MSL, then a senior MSL. and then into a medical lead for the country. And then slowly I've done medical advisor, then now I'm the medical lead. So it's equivalent to medical manager. So my boss is the medical director for Asia. So hopefully, let's see. So these are the things that you can always explore. I just wanted to show that a lot of areas that you could progress. Okay, my tips and tricks will be build a strong medical foundation. So this is where the university plays a part, where you learn, you make sure that your background is really, really strong. Having said that, the entry point for MSL in pharma is PhD or medical doctor. You will be competing with all the other PhDs, and also most of them are medical. So in my department, I'm the only one with PhD. The rest are medical doctors. You also have to know your strength, because they have direct access to patient care and we do not have. So don't take it as a disadvantage. So always build a strong medical foundation. Keep on reading. In university time, learn as much as you can. So when I was doing my lab, from morning to evening, most of the time I'll be listening to podcasts on how do I build my leadership skill, how do I build my presentation skill, and so on. So always being a strong medical foundation, but also remember your competitors are very, very strong people. You have your MDs and PhDs as well. Enhance business acumen. This is very important for pharma, as I mentioned. Leadership skill. So take ownership. In universities, if you don't have the opportunity to explore your leadership skill, it's okay. Always read, always learn, hear from leaders. And then when you get into the field, make sure you showcase your talent. Connection and networking, I always say this is very important. If you're already at the end of your studies, make sure your LinkedIn is up to date. But also, I'm going to tell you, a reality check for you guys is, you need to know connections in order to get job into bigger companies. Meaning to say, if you just apply through JobStreet or through LinkedIn, the chances of you to get is there, but it's very low. But if I refer, for example, anybody else, maybe Afiq is in his company and he can refer you, you will stand 50% higher chances of getting selected into the interview process itself. Because remember, if I'm going to hire a protege, so there's a 12 months program in pharma companies where we work with KKM. It's just 12 months, but the entry is like more than 200 to 300 entry just for that protege program. But there's only one opening. So always remember, connect, network, build your brand. Yeah. Stay up to date. You guys are very well versed in this. Continuously learn and adapt not only in science, but also all the other skills that you require. Develop communication skills. At times, I understand where we are in the university, we don't have much opportunity to showcase all this. It's okay. Always learn and keep stoic. When the time comes, then start speaking whenever you can, and then collaborate. Do a lot of collaboration. When you go to corporate, when you go to companies, you have to work with different kind of people, different departments. I'm working very closely with legal. I have no legal background, but all of my agreements that I have, I'm doing with companies, with KKM or with the hospitals, I have to do agreement with them. I have no law background, right? But it's something that we have to learn and quickly adapt and do things ethically. The industry is not very big, it's a very niche industry. So your name, you should always think of your name. Yeah, so do things ethically. So my last message is identify your strength. If you think speaking, writing, or strategizing is your key, you know where is your path. Always discuss with mentors, have a good mentor. Have ownership of your own success. Don't wait for people to come and give you things. Take ownership, be accountable, seek help, continuously seek, and then make sure you also grow professionally and also personally. Okay, work is work, but at the same time, you also have to strive for your personal growth as well. Okay, that's all. I really hope that this session is beneficial for you guys. Yep. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Priya, for sharing with us. Your talk has given us a lot to think about and inspired us to take charge of our careers. Since Dr. Priya could not join us later for the open forum, she will take some questions now. If you have any questions, please utilize the chat or the QA feature. So we have one question here from Nur Fadina. Good morning,
Okay.
Dr. Priya. What advice would you give to your younger self at the start of your career?
I would say explore. do not limit yourself. Rejection is very common. So be thick-skinned, explore, find your strength. Yeah, always remember that, find your strength. Then it's easier for you to maneuver. The corporate especially, it's not an easy walk. Yeah, I just have to let you know, it's not easy walk. Everyone wants to be on top of the ladder. So you have to constantly explore and find your strength and also your weaknesses as well.
I have one question, Doctor. So like, what was your first win, so to say, or like your eureka moment that make you confident that you were doing the right thing and not going into academia but into the industry?
I tested both. So when I first, after my degree, when I went into sales and application, I knew that I had an edge, but at the same time, I also wanted to explore academic. I didn't know whether, what I'm doing is correct or not. So that actually, I lost a bit of time by doing both, but then I gained in the sense of I'm very sure where's my strength and where's my skill is. So I tried both, and then I know that my forte would be in corporate, in industry. So there's a question by Aina.
Yeah, there's a question from Aina.
Okay,
So
I always get
hi.
this.
Hi, Dr. Priya. It's amazing to see you again. Can you advise us on how to venture into the industry if we don't have any industrial experience before?
Okay, the standard way is for you to spice up your resume. Please ensure that your resume, your CV is up to date, your LinkedIn is up to date, but at the same time, realistically, please have connections. Please talk to the people in the industry, go check them on LinkedIn, see, put in some keywords. There's chat AI right now, the chat GPT. So put in some keywords. You will be directed to certain key directors in the companies, and just drop an email. There's no hard and fast rule. Just drop an email. Just drop. I don't think you'll get the contact number in the beginning. Just drop an email. Just ask them, do you have any openings, or can I just be your trainee? And then don't be shy of joining as a trainee. A trainee is actually an entry point. It's a 12 months program or 6 months program where you will be paid about 2,000 to 3,000. But if you think of the long run, because you don't have experience and you have never worked, and most likely you guys like degree, masters, and PhD. So your working experience is literally zero, right? So start with any entry points if you're willing to. I know because you all are PhD grad, to get into a entry position is something, ego clash might be there. But if you think for a long run, for your own betterment, if you think you're up for the challenge, then please go for this kind of protege training programs.
Thank you, Dr. Priya. Since we're also like a bit short on time, I hope you can answer some of the questions in the meeting chat. We will move on to our next speaker. So thank you again, Dr. Priya, for your valuable time.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All the best.
Right. You have my contact, you have my email. You need me to go through your resume or CV or anything, or you need connections, you can always drop me an email.
All right. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you guys.
All the best. Okay, so move on to the next speaker. Mr. Muhammad Afiq Osman. He graduated with a Master of Science, Molecular Medicine from UMBI in 2019. His research was part of the CRC Gut Microbiome Project, which was supervised by Dr. Neo, Dr. Shakima, and Dr. Chin. He has over 5 years of working experience in technical and application support of genomic products. He is currently working as a technical support manager at Vitrolife Sweden AB, a world-leading global provider of medical devices and genetic testing services in the reproductive health field. His current role is providing post-sales technical support and customer training for Vitrolife Genomics kitted products, PGTA and PGTM, across the Asia Pacific. Mr. Muhammad Afiq, the screen is yours.
Hello, thank you, Shazalina. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer again for inviting me as one of the speakers for this COBA session. As compared to Priya's presentation, mine will be more on the personal level. So I'll be sharing more on, from my point of view, how do I actually get started in industry from academia, right? Let me share my, I'm not sure how do I click my, is it a full screen view now? I'm not sure. Is it a full screen now? full presentation
Yes.
mode? All right,
Yes,
thank
it's
you.
in presentation. All right.
All right. So you guys can call me Afiq. A little bit background about myself. So I'm currently staying in Rawang, Selangor. So for academic background, I graduated with Masters of Science in Molecular Medicine from UMBI UKM back in 2019. And I'm also a degree holder of Bachelor in Biomedical Science back in 2014. Right, like Shazalina introduced during the introduction, I was part of the gut microbiome in colorectal cancer project supervised by Dr. Neo, Dr. Zakima, and also Dr. Chin. I have over 5 years of working experience in a medical devices company. And most of my experience coming from a genomics background, NGS, oncology, and also reproductive health. All right. A little bit snapshot on my career journey. So I started off back in 2018. If you guys catch, I graduated back in 2019, right? So I started 1 year earlier. So what I did was, I was actually right after I finished writing my thesis. It's just a draft thesis back then. So because there's a financial constraint back then, so I had to find a job. So it's where I got my first job in Biomed Global or Biomarketing Services as an application specialist in a life sciences department. So as compared to Priya sharing, right? So first job was a hybrid job with sales and application. While for my experience itself, I'm just focusing on one single thing, which is the application support. All right. Then I further promoted to a senior application in the later years. So just last year, I made a jump to an MNC company called Illumina. I believe you guys are aware on this brand. So it's a genomic leader in next generation sequencing. So I work as a field application scientist about 10 months. So there's a story behind it. But eventually I jumped a new job again, which is the current job, which is Vitrolife Sweden AB. I started off earlier this year. I'm covering Asia Pacific, and the current role is technical support and training manager for the genomic product line. In terms of the specific, if I go into a specific experience, for example, like this is my first job. I have never had any industrial experience prior to my master's. And in fact, I right away do my master after my degree, bachelor degree. So I think right after my bachelor degree, I joined UMBI about a year as research assistant, and then I registered for my master's degree study. So I have no industrial background. Before that, also I think maybe after matriculation, not after, I think after or before, I worked as a cashier, but just a few months to get. So I do not have any science industry background at all. So I joined this back in June 2018. So I started off as an application specialist, which later promoted to a senior application specialist back in 2021. So Biomed Global is a distributor company. I would say one of the biggest distributor company in Malaysia. So they currently still carrying Thermo Fisher products. So I was one of the applications that's supporting this product, focusing on ion torrent NGS and also applied system products, including qPCR and also Sanger sequencing products, right? And a lot of things happen, like during the transition, because I do not have any industry experience. There's a lot of challenges, but I was honored back then. I was given an opportunity to lead the team for the NGS support, also back in 2021 when I was promoted to a senior role. So you must be like wondering what are the challenges, because I'm coming from academia, right? I'm coming from research. What I know back then is just about my research. I want to complete it. I want to finish my thesis. I just want to graduate. And I don't even know what we actually I gonna see or experience in the industry. So this job is basically not a plan at all, because like I said earlier, it was because I had some financial constraint. So I had to work. So there's a lot of challenges, to be honest. I'm a shy type of person because I'm coming from the lab. I'm very shy. I don't really talk to people. Yes, I'm talkative to people that I'm close with, but not talkative to like people that I don't know. Those that actually know me in UBI, they know how actually my character is. So I can be talkative, I can be friendly, but it depends on who actually I'm talking with. Okay. So the challenges is, first, I noticed I had to deal with clinical customers. Okay, unlike research customers, right? Clinical customers, they are different. They are very different. They are distinct in terms of their expectation, in terms of how they do works. For example, we are doing research, right? We actually kind of like flexible. Oh, we are doing troubleshooting. So we can tweak here, we can tweak there, like, okay, reduce the volume, or maybe we just increase the PCR cycles and so on, right? Based on the research papers we actually study. But for clinical customer, they actually go by the book. Whatever stated on the book, they should be following that. So this is like a challenge when you are dealing with a clinical customer, but they are using RUO products. So RUO product is research use only. Okay, this is something that you have to aware. In the market at the moment, there are two types of product. One is RUO, one is IVD. So IVD is more stable for the diagnostic purposes like blood tests, allergy tests. They are all IVD grade or certified. But for a genomics, most of the genomics kit or tests out there, they are still on RUO certification. So as you know, RUO, if you want to apply under a clinical setting, especially in a molecular diagnostic laboratory setting, you have to kind of like validate them. So this is where you have to work closely with the lab managers, with the scientists, medical lab scientists in the lab, when they actually used to go by the book, because they kind of like used to IVD kind of products, right? So you have to kind of educate them, have to teach them how to be a little slightly flexible in terms of the optimization, in terms of validating the REO products or solution, right? So this is something that is actually very challenging, and this is something that I also learned a lot when I first started my job as an application specialist. And of course, as a technical support, you also provide a frontline support. Whenever they have problem, they just give you a call. They're just going to bug you. Hey, Afiq, what's wrong with my machine? What's wrong with my results? Why I'm getting this kind of results? So this is something that you have to think of. They might be contacting you even on weekend, because I was still with both research and clinical customers, right? So for clinical, sometimes they work 24 hours, sometimes they work until Saturday, so half day of the Saturday. So you kind of have to spend more time to actually support this customer, because most of the time the results are urgent. And for example, if I was they are actually doing oncology testing, which actually with the patient actually quite ill, and they are actually waiting for the results, right? For mutation result, for instance, from NGS. So the doctors or the clinician might be pushing them to get the result out, so that they can actually quickly get to know what are the mutation and what are the suitable therapy they can actually provide to the patients. So this is one thing. You eventually actually helping scientists, you also actually contribute back to the society, right? Because you basically helping patient in the background, but patient do not know you, but you're also helping them in order to get the best treatment or the proper treatment. Because nowadays you guys also aware on the personalized medicine, so that's something that you can think of, right? So of course, application troubleshooting is part of the support things. If you actually browse around, right, in terms of the application, they have a lot of titles, like field application, technical support, technical application support, technical application scientist. You have like application trainer. So it really depends on the company itself. So in MNC, usually there'll be more specific. You only go on field or go on site for the troubleshooting, or you can be a remote worker, known as technical application scientist or specialist, or you can be a trainer, you can be a customer, but if you are working in a distributor company, you get to do all right? So this is something that you can learn a lot from there. Eventually, those actually are very shy presenting on the stage, right? They also be like, oh, now they're actually quite comfortable to present to a larger crowd, right? Of course, as application also, you need to do sales support, like presenting technical presentation, helping your sales and product specialists to do kind of sales activity. So that's pretty much about the Biomed Global experience that I had. Then I move on to Illumina Singapore Private Limited company. So I worked about 9 months, if I calculate correctly. And this where actually in a distributor company, you actually working among people that you actually comfortable with, I would say, and you're only limited to supporting Malaysia customer. But if you actually work in an MNC company, right, you'll be like working with a lot of like other people. For instance, right, I worked in Illumina Singapore before. There's a lot of brilliant and talented people outside academia. they hold a PhD, they hold a master's degree, but they actually in the commercial. They are not doing something, doing a lecture, doing a research, but they're actually doing a lot of things like sales, marketing, consultation, engineering, training, and also application support, right? And they also sharing a definition towards the common goal, because the common goal is always to provide the best support to the customer. And of course, the product itself can be catered to all type of patient. It will depend on the segment, because eventually you have to specialize in one of the segments. It's either you want to go for oncology, you want to go for agriculture, animal health, and even for reproductive health, right? It really depends on what is your patient and what is your interest, okay? And I would recommend for you guys, if there's an opportunity, please explore a job in Singapore. There's a lot of opportunity out there, not only in Singapore. If you want to explore outside Singapore, like in Australia, you can do that as well, right? And of course, you get a different experience working at a principal company, because like I said, Biomed Global is a distributor company. It's really different when you're actually dealing or working in a principal company itself. Why I say so? Of course, I put it in under the challenges down there. Of course, new product, you have to learn new product. But for this, I do not have much issue, because I was using Illumina sequencer back then during my master's degree. And this is something that you have to learn, which is channel partners management. So now you are the principal, you are the one need to lead them, lead the distributors. So in Illumina back then, I was covering Southeast Asia lah, because South Asia is including India. I wasn't covering India, so I would say Southeast Asia. So I have to kind of like support customer in the region. You know, like I have to deal with Bangladesh distributor, Philippine distributor, Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia, for instance, right? So you can learn a different culture, the way they work. You'll be able to travel. There's something that if you like traveling, then there's something that you can look forward for, all right? And of course, it's still like focusing on genomic solutions, so I have no problem to kind of like transition from the previous company to this company, right? So this is my experience from Illumina Singapore. And now I'm currently working in a Vitrolife Sweden company. So I just started off not last year, I'm talking about, it's earlier this year, February 2023 until current, all right? Okay, one thing that I would like to highlight, this is my very first remote working setup experience. So I was the FS before for the past 4 years, for the past 5 years. So mostly I'll be on site, I'll be in the lab, doing the training, doing the troubleshooting, and a lot of my time I spent, you know, like away from home and have to troubleshoot on site with the customer. All right. So when I joined Vitrolife, this is a kind of like unique. It's a kind of also hybrid, but you do not need to provide field support. What you need to do is provide a remote support. Basically, it's a technical application scientist job, and plus with application trainer job. So you do provide training either by virtual or also on site. Okay. So when I joined Vitrolife Sweden AB, it'd be more on product focus. So like I said earlier, right, when you work in distributor or you work in a general genomics company, they have several segments. But for Vitrolife Sweden, this company just focus on reproductive health. And I'm under their genomic department. So I'm just focusing on the genomic solution, which is PGTA, pre-implantation genetic testing for aneuploidies, and also PGTM, pre-implantation genetic testing for monogenic disorder, right? Of course, it's covering bigger region. You have direct, and also you have to manage your distributor via channel partners. And yeah, you get to meet different people across the globe. So bigger region now, I'm covering Australia, I'm covering South Korea, I'm also covering Japan as well. Of course, you get to travel. If you like travel, like I said, with bigger region, you get the opportunity to travel a lot. And you get a work-life balance, I would say. If you're a remote workers, right, you get more work-life balance. The reason why I see, so when you actually need to be on site, you have to spend most of the time on the road. You start in traffic jams. You have to travel, like a lot of things you have to travel. It's not like you have to plan. You have to sometimes just like have to make a trip last minute because there's important troubleshooting need to be done, especially in a hospital, right? So this is something that you might not be getting, but it's good for you to have the exposure so that you have experience. And this experience, they are very beneficial for you to find a new job in the future, all right? So career path into industry, this is basically my perspective. So you need to ask yourself first, what are your main interests and vision? Okay, this is something that you have to ask, keep on asking yourself, what do you like? Like Priya shared in her previous presentations, right? So she did like, oh, you need to ask yourself, what do you like? You prefer writing, you like to speak, if you want to do a research, then there's a lot of research out there. Besides academia, you can join R&D, for instance. So that's something that you can look for, all right? And you might be asking, especially this for a master's holder, master's students, do you need a PhD? Personally, if you ask me, I also wanted to do a PhD back then, but because there's a lot of, like challenges, hiccups back then, right? So a lot of things like financial constraint and COVID hit. So there are a lot of things that you can't do according to your plan. I still remember, Lina is still here, I will be there. So Lina know that I did tell her back then, oh, I just wanted to do a PhD right after my master, but it didn't go into the plan. Like this is something that's different and you have to adapt to it, like need a PhD, it really depends on industry. Some industry, yes, they really need like medical affair industry like Priya, you need a PhD. Without a PhD, it's very hard for you to get in. But for other company like, like medical, like application support, sales, there is no need for you to actually have a PhD. It's a bonus, it's a plus if you have it, but what you need to have is a hard skill and also the soft skill, like how you do your presentation, how good is your technical knowledge, and then there's something that you have to think of and something that you have to eventually brush up during your master or PhD study, right? And always think outside of the box. You are not doing masters and doing PhD just to become a lecturer, right? Or just to become a science officer. There's a lot of things, there's a lot of job out there you can actually try and you can explore, right? This because your research experience, which is a hard skill, right? Technical skill, is important to explore the opportunities in industry. So this is something that the last point is also have been highlighted. This is something that you can explore like sales, technical support, consultation, product specialist, product expert, and so on. Moving on, I would like to highlight that the most common misconception among postgraduate study, especially in science, right? They think that, oh, when I do PhD and when I have a master's, for master, I have to do PhD or just do a research because this is something that I'm comfortable with. Or you have a PhD or now a PhD, I work hard to finish my PhD. I just want to continue with my PhD topics. I want to explore more. There's a lot of research questions that I want to answer. This is something that is normal. It's also happened to all students out there. But I need you to remember that you are not a typecast. Okay, so you not only you will just do a PhD and masters just to become a lecturer or just to become a researcher. That's not the thing that should be like limit you to explore other stuff out there, right? Because all the skills, your technical skills, especially your NGS, qPCR, your flow cytometry whatsoever that you have learned is actually something that you have honed during your MSc or PhD process, right? They are incredibly important and valuable to all the employers out there in the industry. That's I can actually confirm. Like from my experience, because I learned a lot of NGS, I get my first job because of my NGS experience back then in 2018. Okay, and don't worry, you are the expert of yourself. You actually, when you are doing masters, you are doing PhD, you actually have a capability to, to kind of like do the logical communication of complex idea. Your research is complex, right? So this is something that you actually commonly build. And you also have the ability to research of any topics. You are a researcher, so you know how to actually make full use of Google Scholar, PubMed, and so on. And you also, I believe, with the RUS, you also brush up your public speaking talent. So those that actually love public speaking, this is something that you can also explore. There's a lot of other jobs out there, especially sales. They are very good in doing public speaking because you need to do a lot of presentation, right? Of course, troubleshooting and problem solving, you also learn during your research. Project management, yes, you are your own, I would say, you own your own research, so you manage your own research, right? And of course, you are doing manuscript writing, thesis writing is also beneficial for you because you own this skill as well, technical writing. A little bit more, of course, like Priya mentioned earlier, polish your resume or CV. Make it short and concise. Don't write an essay in your resume. Please do not write an essay. Make it simple but impactful, highlighting all your skills, and make sure you provide an executive summary to make the first good impression, to highlight your career goals and about yourself. I guess with that, I end my presentation. Thank you. I guess I override. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Afiq, for sharing your expertise and practical advice. We have some burning questions for you, but we will address them later on during the interactive session, okay?
Good. Thank you.
Okay, so now we will hear from our final speaker, Dr. Rashida. Dr. Rashida is currently working as a lab scientist at Cell Genesis Laboratories in Hartamas, Kuala Lumpur. Her current role is isolating mesenchymal stem cells from the umbilical cord and identifying the MSC secretome for dermatology applications. Dr. Rashida has worked at this company since November 2021 after finishing her PhD at UMBI. She has over 6 years of working experience, including as a sales representative for medical items and as a research assistant at PPUM. So let us welcome Dr. Rashida. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Chairperson. Sorry, I haven't used Zoom for a long time. Yeah, Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Rashida. I'm one of the PIS alumni. So I just recently graduated last year. So I'm with you guys and I hope this sharing might beneficial all of you. So my title for today is Make LinkedIn as your best buddy. Okay, a little bit before we start, so I would like to share my journey from undergraduate to postgraduate. So I graduated from USM, Bachelor in Biotechnology in 2012. So after I graduated, I worked as a product specialist or known as a sales representative at Hospitec Marketing for about 1 year. So my job's role at that time is to assist my clients and make the sales for the company, especially on the medical items such as for the heart disease, for the kidney, I dah lupa. And then after I finish, after about 1 year, so I quit as a product specialist and then I pursue my study in Master in Molecular Medicine in UMBI. So I graduated from UMBI 2016. And then after I graduated, I embarked in a new journey as a research assistant at Pediatric Oncology Lab, UMMC, University Malaya. So I worked there about 3 years. So at that time, my job roles was to assist Malaysia and Singapore on the next generation sequencing for the leukemia disease. So after on my 3rd year of working as a RA, and then I just got a call from my supervisor, Dr. Shakima. So she offered me to pursue my study in PhD in UMBI. So I decided, why not give a try? So I continue my PhD and I just graduated last year. So after I finished my, actually not really, actually I started working as a lab scientist at Cell Genesis. So I started my working as a lab scientist before I graduated from UMBI actually. So after I finished my lab work, I already started working there. So I was approached by my boss during my 3rd semester, during my 3rd years of PhD. I was approached by my current boss through LinkedIn. So he interested at my experience in the LinkedIn. So he asked for a meeting with him, discuss on my visions and on his visions. So today I would like to share with you guys some tips that might help you in job seeking with LinkedIn. So the most important visual components of your LinkedIn profile is your profile photo. So in your profile photo, you must have good facial expressions, color photography. So basically, do not use black or white, black and white photo, and then good proportions, such as you must focus on your face. Do not use your whole body photo, and then make sure solid background, the clear clear photo, and then good lighting, and if necessary, wear professional shirts. Okay, so this is these 3 example suitable photo that can use for your linking file. I advise you guys to have a linking profile if you haven't created any account in LinkedIn. And then, as mentioned by Priya, you need to add keywords to your LinkedIn. So add keywords to your profile. So in the LinkedIn profile, you have about section. So in about sections, you can write, this is my example on how I add my about my informations in under the about section. So I wrote some keywords that I want to manager or recruiter find. So my keywords is like in vitro model, because I want to work in the lab. So we must include in vitro. We must include anything like qPCR or whatever experience that you have in your current project. And then once you once you put your keywords in about, so manager will search the keywords, and then it will lead to your profile. So your profile will pop up under their search. So if they search for in vitro, so if you mention about in vitro, so it will pop up your profile. So they will browse through your profile. Okay. And then please highlight your experience. So if you highlight your working experience, it will lead to 8 times more profile views, 5 times more connections, and you will receive more messengers. So it will increase the probability of hiring manager and recruiters reaching out to you. So in the experience sessions, you must describe about your responsibilities. You highlight your key accomplishments, and then you focus on the experience that relevant to target job roles. For example, this is example of my my job experience. So you can see, I put some field of research, and then my project title, and then my job responsibility, my technical competence. So during my under my project, so I did microarray PCR cancer cells study, and then cells based assay. So you can write anything that that you has done in your project. So you can write your project, your master project or your PhD project under your experience sections. Okay. And then you can write your achievement, like you publish 1 paper, you publish 2 paper, or you graduate, or you won a best poster, best oral, and then you just write achievement. So this is example how I wrote my experience sessions. And then please highlight your specific skills in your LinkedIn profile. So if you highlight your skills, this will showcase your ability to managers or recruiters. And then after you highlight your skills, you may ask your supervisors or your friend to endorse your skills. Because if you endorse your skills, it will contribute to the strength of your profile, and then increase the likelihood that you will be discovered for the opportunity that related to your skill. For example, molecular biology, someone has endorsed my skills, and then you can write any skills that you have, it is important for you to write skills that are relevant to your target jobs. Okay. So you can also include your list of publications, your achievements, and then your volunteering sections. So you can connect to my LinkedIn to browse some informations that you can get from my profile, and then so you can add me and you can connect with me and browse through my LinkedIn for some of information. So you can see all the informations in my file, and I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rashida, for your tips and advice. I'm sure we all learned a lot from you. We appreciate your valuable insights. After listening to your sharing, I feel that I really have to update my LinkedIn profile now. Okay, now we have reached the interactive segment of our event. It's time to address some questions from our audience. Please feel free to unmute your audio, or if you feel a bit shy today, we can use the chat or Q&A feature to post your questions, and our speaker will be happy to answer them. So, okay, we have a question from Alisa to Mr. Afiq. Hi, can I ask about how different is the industrial research versus academic research?
Industrial research and academic research. So for industrial research, because I never like go into R&D side before, but what do I know? Because I work at my current job, right? I work closely with my R&D colleague in the UK, right? So what they actually do is they mostly focus on the product development. So product development also require research. For instance, right, for my current product, it's like PGTA for aneuploidies. It uses NGS approach to do the detection and testing. So many of the current customers, they are requesting, for example, non-invasive PGTA. So instead of biopsy the trophectoderm cells, right, the embryo cells itself, they just use the culture media to kind of detect the aneuploidies of the embryos itself. So without, like directly biopsy the cells itself. So there is it's less invasive, it's non-invasive, I would say, because just use the culture media, right? So this requires a lot of research and extensive work. So that kind of research is something that you can foresee if you join R&D work, or maybe like development of the kits, sequencing kit, for instance. You're more focused on the product development itself, not on the research, I would say. Like academic research, they more on like to find biomarkers in cancer, like to find what are the pathways actually related to the cancer development or inhibitor and so on, right? So that are kind of a research you can actually expect when you join R&D work in the industry. I hope I answer your question.
Okay, there's a question from Aina. Hi, Afiq. Can you share how did you land your job in Singapore? From my understanding, it's that we usually did recommendations to enter that industry. But if we don't have any connections there, what could we do to stand out more? Would love to hear your opinion on this.
Good question. It's actually a very good question. Okay. From my experience, what I actually had back then, I got someone to refer me to Illumina. Okay, so when I was working in Biomed Global, I did a lot of cases, a lot of troubleshooting and training with the principal company, right, Thermo Fisher. So when you actually deal with the principal, build more connection, and just not only about work, you also need to actually reach out to them, because make them as like friends, I would say, so that you have the connection. So when they actually move to another company or they jump to another company, right, so you have this connection. When there is like any opportunities, you can just ask them to refer you, because like Priya mentioned earlier, right, during her sharing session, so it's very important for you to have connection in the industry. So without connection, it'll be very slim chance for you to get called even for an interview. Yeah, this is the facts. That this is something that you guys have to actually know and have to realize that connections are important when you need to find a job. But I never said that without a connection you cannot land a job in Singapore. So it really depends on how you actually sell your skill, upskill yourself, get a suitable kind of like hard skill and soft skill. It is gonna be very hard, I would say, but it's not possible. I know some people that actually managed to land a job in Singapore without any reference. So it's not impossible. But if you want to make it quick, it'll be easier for you to actually go through your connections to get a reference from them. There'll be even more high chance for you to get called for the interview.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the audience that would like to ask any questions? You can unmute your microphone. If not, I'll ask.
I can see a few other questions here from Anis and also Hillary. I think,
Okay,
do you dealing with any ISO requirement? Yes, of course. When you are doing technical support, there's a lot of ISO, especially you are dealing with a defect product. So this is something you have to report, you have to log, you have to come out with a COBA investigation, QA investigation. This is also something you have to deal with ISO. You have to work with other departments so that to get your customer complaint raised. Because this is something that's not, because when you're actually buying a genomic kits, right? For example, you buy NGS kit, they are not cheap, they are expensive, right? So we need to replace customers, let's say there's a QC defects. For example, the tube is empty, or maybe the tube has like debris inside the tube, which actually can cause contamination. So this is something that you have to replace customer. So this require a lot of QA actions, and this also involves a lot of ISO teaming. So yes, you need to deal with ISO, but not as much as QA, quality assurance people department there. Yep. And I think Hillary asked about special certifications. I do not have any special certification. When I joined the company, biomarketing, for instance, right, they actually sent me over to Singapore for training. So of course, when you first join, right, the first few months, you basically going to travel. Depending on the product, you might need to travel to China if you're actually supporting China products, or US to get a certification from the principal itself. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, I guess I answered all.
So
Yeah,
there are
sorry.
some questions for Dr. Rashida. So Doctor, in your experience, do you think that LinkedIn is the best platform for a science job where you get the most responses, or do you have tried some other platforms?
Oh, okay. I have tried JobStreet as well, but I found that LinkedIn is a better platform for science to search for a science job in industry, because when you use LinkedIn, you can connect with various of people. Like you can connect with manager, you can connect with your potential colleague. So you can see that. Okay, so you can see if your potential colleague is happy or not working there. So it gives you a few informations on the company that you wants to work with. And then okay, so I think the best platform is you can use LinkedIn. You just search research assistant, or you can search postdoctoral program, or medical, or any biology, and then they will pop up some job vacancy in the LinkedIn. It's very easy to use LinkedIn.
Okay, Dr. Rashid, that's another question from Nafis. So he said that, do we need to state our mastery level on certain skills that we state in our LinkedIn profile? Because sometimes as student, we learn many lab skills, but not proficient in each of them, which recruiters really particular about. So is it wise to put our mastery level there?
I think in LinkedIn, you no need to put your level. So but because you can explain your level in your resume. You can just explain your level in your resume or during the interview. So any skills that you obtain from your research, you can just put in the LinkedIn.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. So, so there's a question from Johannes. Hello, Mr. Afiq and Dr. Rashida. Based on your experience, how long should one work in a company, or how established one has to be before he or she attempt for a job hop?
Do you want to take it, Ida?
Afiq dulu.
Okay, I take it. In my opinion, I would say 4 to 5 years. But you might be wondering why I moved so fast from Illumina to Vitrolife such a short of time, right? It's because I was affected by the recent layoff. Because US company, they are not doing well. In fact, the layoff activity are still ongoing even as we speak now. That is something that is not good. I don't want to share a lot of this negative kind of experience, but you will learn a lot. Like I said, connection do help. So I was actually lucky. I get this current job, right, based on the connection itself. So made a lot of connection. When you know the right people, they can actually help to kind of boost your chance to get a new job as soon as possible, like within 2 to 3 months. So I managed to get this new job after they lay off me back in December within 1 month. So yeah, connections, please make as much as connection as you can. It will help a lot.
Dr. Rashida, you have anything to add on?
I think 1 year should be okay. I mean, in your resume, 1 year after you do not change your job regularly, because sometimes it can give the new recruiter budak ni kenapa asyik tukar kerja, ada problem ke? So dia akan contact balik dengan manager yang lama. So kalau you nak tukar-tukar kerja, make sure you dah 1 tahun at least. So tapi you janganlah ambil 1 tahun tu, tunggulah you dah naik gaji, you action dekat boss, saya rasa nak berhenti. So boss tentu akan naikkan gaji you.
Okay, there's a question. Dr. Nadia ada angkat tangan. Hi, Dr. Nadia, would you like to ask any question?
Hi,
I
hi
see she-
Shaza.
Okay, hi.
Alright. Hi Ida, hi Afiq. Thank you for taking the time to share your experience with the students here. So it's very nice to get some insights into the research or in the industry area. So my question is for Rashida. Rashida,
Yeah?
you are currently a cell scientist, right? Is it the job?
Yeah, majoring in stem cell.
Okay, so where do you see yourself in terms of your career progression? Like, what's the next step besides being a cell scientist? How do you progress further in this line of career?
Actually, Dr. Nadia. So actually, Doctor, so my job scope establish MSc from the umbilical cord, and then now kita dah embark into before kita inject to the before we inject into the client, so kita akan buat protein profiling and then to see if the MSc secretome tu is good enough for the clients or not.
So like I'm assuming like you have a boss that you report to, like is it a chief scientific officer or directly to your CEO?
Yeah, dia no scientific officer, dia medical doctor.
Okay, so that medical director is your CEO lah, is it?
Yes, betul.
Okay, alright. So you memang liaise terus dengan C-level punya management lah.
Iya, betul. So basically dekat saya punya company ni kita ada 2 scientist je, doktor. Now kita expanding, kita nak expanding, so he will hire more scientists lah, because sebab kita dah dapat banyak permintaan on the MSc, so for the dermatologist punya application lah, untuk kecantikan, untuk sakit-sakit badan macam tu.
Okay, alright. So and then my other question is, because from what I know, the viability of startup companies on biotech is quite low, right? If I'm not mistaken, this was like around 10 years ago. So now, in your opinion, kan, Dr. Rashida, for these companies, is it good for you to invest your career in, or is there a possibility that the company will I'm not sure
Oh,
mungkin
faham.
boleh fold
Oh,
over ke apa ke.
faham. At the moment saya memang nampak company ni growth sebab memang kita dapat banyak sangat client request for this stem cells technology. So memang every year memang company making a profit a lot, and then dia akan contribute to our bonus jugalah.
Okay, alright. Sorry Syazalina, saya banyak soalan pula macam saya pula nak cari kerja kan, tapi tak apa. Saya tanya soalan mungkin orang lain pun boleh belajar juga. My next question is because you're a startup company kan, so from what I know, because my husband was also working for a small company, you have to do everything from level-level yang tak related to your job scope pun you kena buat up until to the C-level management. So in your opinion, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's not a good thing lah. Tapi dekat company ini saya memang buat research saja. Saya akan buat lab dan research untuk documentations for MPRA or untuk produk macam untuk handling macam equipments ke apa semua ada orang lain yang buat.
I see. Okay. Alright. Okay, and then my next question is, Ida nak sambung lagi ke?
Oh, okay. Untuk those yang berminat, boleh apply for this kind of job. Dia bukan setakat dekat company yang saya bekerja sekarang, Cell Genesis, boleh apply cryocort or cytotherapeutic kot dekat Cyberjaya. So saya rasa untuk yang berminat, saya rasa dia punya working experience, working environment okay, dia punya bonus pun well paid lah untuk sebab dia untuk stem cells sekarang tengah growing, so dia memang making profit lah compared to other biotechnology research macam tu.
So for Rashida, do you deal with a lot of CROs?
Tak, saya memang dekat lab sahaja. Yang lain semua medical doctor yang buat.
I see. Okay, right. I think another option that saya just nak share lah, mungkin because Rashida is dealing with a lot of patients, so other companies that the UMBI graduates can try is CRO lah kot, because banyak juga kat clinical research area yang perlukan mereka yang ada masters and PhD. Another question is for Afiq dan Rashida both. Yes, scientific background is important, but what do you think about the soft skills in terms of handling HR, handling aggressive people, communicate with the politics? So what's your take on that for the new students, for the UMBI students here?
I think if you
Afiq
from
gelak-gelak.
UMBI, you can survive kot doktor. I think if you from UMBI, then most probably you can survive bila dicampak di mana-mana saja.
Okay, that's good. Afiq?
I agree.
So UMBI is a nurturing environment for all these people who are diplomatic kot.
Sebab kat UMBI kan banyak politik, so kita adapting. So dekat luar pun kita adapting lah.
Okay, alright. Okay, thank you Afiq and Rashida. I pass back to Shaza.
Okay, thank you Dr.
Thank you,
Nadia.
Dr.
We have question from the audience juga. Diorang angkat tangan. From Nurul Nadia.
Hi Dr. Ida, I'm Nadia.
Hai Nadia.
Kak Ida nak tanya,
ya.
saya plan nak sharpen lagi my skills kan. So apa Kak Ida punya pendapat kalau saya pursue postdoctoral fellowship? Is it a good field for me?
Oh, okay.
Tak?
Macam postdoc ni, okay lah. Ini as a opinion daripada seorang senior kepada junior. Okay, sekarang kita kena fikir kita punya age, kita punya umur. Dia bukan pasal apa, maksudnya macam kita kena, okay, untuk postdoc, jawatan tu tak tetap. Okay, orang lain boleh disagree lah, tapi ni saya punya opinion je lah kan. Untuk postdoc, jawatan tu tak tetap. So after maybe 1 tahun, 2 tahun, you kena cari job yang lain pula. Okay, so dekat sini, kita kena cari permanent job untuk kita, untuk future kita. Contohnya macam saya dengan Afiq, kita dah fikir dah simpanan KWSP kita ni cukup ke tak cukup. Sebab kita bekerja lambat kan. So you guys kena think lah, kalau you guys nak macam nak jadi RA, you kena fikir berapa lama you nak limit you nak jadi RA tu, berapa lama you nak jadi postdoc tu. Tapi kalau you minat research, you macam contoh you minat research, you boleh plan for postdoc berapa tahun, but then you shift lah kepada kerja yang lain. You jangan maintain je nak jadi postdoc.
Faham. Tapi Kak Ida dapat yang Zamalah kan Kak Ida? Dia ada macam
Ya.
wajib ke buat postdoc
Oh,
dekat UKM?
masa pergi yang last punya meeting dengan UKM tu, sebab saya masa tu akak dah kerja dekat cell genesis tu, so akak cakap berapa UKM boleh offer kan, sebab kalau dia offer less, macam tak nak lah tinggal kerja yang sekarang kan. Lepas tu,
Betul.
sorry mata duitan. Lepas
Tak apa.
Lepas tu, lepas tu diorang cakap, oh actually diorang pun tak tahu diorang boleh offer berapa. So diorang kata kalau ada job, kita boleh je tulis surat cakap kita rasa kita ada better offer dekat company sekarang lah. So kita boleh je refuse macam tu.
Oh, faham. Okay, thank you Kak Ida. Kak Ida tadi Kak Ida ada bagi 2 lagi nama company kan? Cryopart ke?
Cryocort.
Kak Ida, Kak Ida tuliskan dekat chatbot boleh? Senang kita orang nak Google.
Oh, okay. Cryocort je. Okay.
Thank you Kak Ida.
Okay.
Itu je Kak daripada saya.
Okay, thank you, Nadia. We also have another question from the audience. William, would you like to ask any question?
Hi, Mr. Afiq and Dr. Rashida. So here, I have a quick question. What do you guys think about programming skills in this field? Because there's a hype about all this computer stuff, right, in all sectors. So I want to know what do you think about that?
Programming. Yeah, I think I do agree. Because I'm in the industry, right? For example, I'm in application support, and I also supporting NGS products, which you also know that NGS, the output of NGS is like a lot of data. Like you have to analyze it. So not only programming, if you can excel in bioinformatics, you have a certain skill, like in the bioinformatics, right? It will be beneficial for you because like nowadays people talk about AI, people talk about big data programming, and people talk about like how to actually make everything as simple as one click or a single click. You just need to upload the data and then it runs automatically. All this requires bioinformatics specialist, and yeah, I do agree. If you want to venture into programming or bioinformatics, right, it will eventually give you a brighter chances in the future to get a job in this biotech or even in R&D or software development company. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Afiq. How about Dr. Rashida?
Untuk programming, I think it's relevant sebab untuk my job pun kadang-kadang my boss ask us to analyse data from the sequencing or data from the proteomic using R, and then I also was sent last year. I was sent to the course under R programming course. So I rasa any field pun as long as you ada programming skill, I rasa advantage. Especially kalau you nak jadi lecturer, sekarang memang banyak orang cari yang ada programming punya background.
Thank you, Mr. Afiq and Dr. Rashida, for answering the question.
Okay. Okay, there are a few more questions from the audience. Hi, Mr. Afiq. What are the most common challenges faced by application specialists and or technical support? Also, I'm just curious, how do you stay up to date with the latest technology trends and updates? Do you go to conferences?
Oh, great questions. Thank you for asking that question. In application support, yeah, if you are actually planning to venture into this field, you need to be prepared to face this kind of like new case, new challenges, because we are developing a lot of software. We are also developing our kits or our products, right? So a lot of things, like for example, I released a new version of my analysis software. So there could be like a common like software bug, user interface bug that is common. So this is something that actually new and you might not have the right answer, like to answer to your, or to give to your clients or customer, right? So this is also part of the challenges that you have to prepare yourself mentally and physically, because not all customers can accept this kind of like problems, especially when they are dealing with urgent samples to report with. So there's a lot of challenges out there, a lot of difficult cases. I cannot really remember a lot of things like discordant results. Sometimes it's not because of the software, it's just because when you're actually doing troubleshooting, right, it's not only about your software. You need to go back to the customer, right? You need to troubleshoot the upstream of the testing, right? They might have introduced contamination, maybe the sample quality is bad to begin with, and there's a lot of stuff you have to actually troubleshoot. So, and also along the way, you will actually learn a lot of new things. And yeah, I think that's something good, like for you to learn even more. And of course, new things, you don't have an instant solution to that. It's not good, but you will eventually learn how to manage this customer. And yeah, I think you'll be doing okay. That's from my experience. And another question is, what was the question again? Oh, if I stay up to date. Yes, we do go to the conferences. In fact, like for myself, I'm supporting reproductive health related products, right? So I will try to attend as much as I can to all the conference in the region. So for instance, I went to Thailand last month to attend one of the local conference, talk about the reproductive health. It's also a mixture of genomics and also clinical. And you can eventually meet your customer, you can actually mingle around with embryologists and so on. So it's a good opportunity to learn from them. It's not only about your genomics, there's a lot of other things in reproductive health solution itself that you can learn. Yep. And there's another way for you to keep up to date is, of course, in the company itself, we do conduct like a monthly journal club, sharing between colleagues on internal stuff. So that's something that you can learn from them as well, because in a MNC company, right, you actually have a lot of stuff, so you can learn from them, from their specialty and their expertise. Yeah, there's something that you can learn and stay up to date to the products. Not only about your product, it's also about the field itself.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Afiq. There's a question from Dr. Rashida from Aina. Salam Kak Rashida. If you don't mind, can you share what is the salary range for lab scientists for PhD fresh graduates, so that we don't undersell ourselves?
Oh, okay. Fresh graduate as in tak pernah ada working experience ke? Kalau tak pernah ada working experience, and then you just, maksudnya tak pernah ada working experience after your bachelor or after your master, then you should ask for about 4,500. But if you have experience, and then at least experience 2 years lah, 2 years of working, and then you can demand up to 5,000. But 5,000 and above lah. Tapi janganlah lebih sampai 5.5. So 5 plus macam tu.
Okay, good to know, good to know. So there's a question from Yilon. Good morning, Afiq. Could you share tips to pitch for new products of company?
Can you clarify that again? I don't really get it. Sorry. Maybe Yilon, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you, Yilon?
We can't hear you though. I can see you are talking, but I can't hear you. Maybe can type.
No.
It's using William's desktop right now.
Oh, okay. No, I don't hear anything.
Wait.
Hello,
Okay.
is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about the hiccup. I just have a question regarding customers' demands, and as an application scientist, what are the things to take note of when dealing with customers? At least, could you at least advise from the perspective of being creative when dealing with customers, instead of listing out the instrument strength and the strength of the instrument?
Okay, got it. Yes, you are right. Customer can basically ask everything or anything that they want. So maybe I can give one example from my current job. I'm supporting PG2A products, right? So normally when a company come up with their products, regardless RUO or IVD, right, they have already specified, okay, this product is only compatible with this kind of samples, and what are the minimum inputs and quality that you should consider before you doing the test. Okay, so for PG2A kit that Vitrolife offer is actually designed for multi-cells. So it needs to be at least 3 cells to 10 cells, right? Because you're taking trifectoderm, so you cannot get more than 10. If you get more than 10, you basically take all the thing, everything from the cells already. But some customer, they do want, to start off from a single cell. So this is something that we have not validated. And also we do not have any results of internal testing has been done before, or maybe it has been done, but the result maybe not really convincing. So we can't really share to the customer because it's important in a commercial company, right? You need to offer what you have validated and what you're actually confident to offer to the customers or to the client out there. So some customers, they might use it for their research, and some they just want to kind of compare with other kits that can actually support a single cell input. Yes, they actually can do that because a lot of reading, for example, even non-invasive is something that people are talking about. Single cell input is also something that people demand. In some region, for example, in South Korea, they really practice to use a single cell sample input as their PGTA testing. So this is something that you have to be prepared. There is always a workaround to that. Of course, the optimization is required, but as a commercial company, from a commercial perspective, you can't really give a guarantee that it will work, because R&D itself already mentioned, oh, we only support multi-cells, so we don't do single cell. So what you can advise the customer, or how you can manage customer, is that they have to do their own validation, because they are clinical lab. For example, if they are clinical lab, they have to come up with their own validation. They have to have a set of samples to kind of validate everything, not only from sample, they also have to validate in terms of the data analysis. Yeah, that's if you ask about the products. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Yes, just to get some awareness of what could be the things that makes what could an application scientist do to sell their instrument instead of
okay. So if you join any company, right? Because I work, I used to handle Thermo Fisher product, Illumina product. Each of these companies, they have their own better cards. So better card means they have the information of their competitor specs, right? To make a comparison. It's not a customer-facing document, but it is something that we always use in the background to refer or to teach to the customer about our product, to highlight the strength. And of course, you have to hide your weakness lah. Otherwise, people won't buy your machine, right? But normally it's not about weakness, it's about limitation. Maybe some of the, for example, like Illumina. Okay, now Illumina, they can do long reads. Before they cannot do long reads, right? Only nanopore, Oxford nanopore, and PacBio can do long reads. So this is something that you might not want to highlight too much. You just highlight what is the benefit of short reads. Because you have to upweight between the limitation and also the strength of your instrument or platform of your kit. So it depends on how you manage things. So usually the organization or the company, we have the resources for you to refer. Yeah.
Thank you, Afiq.
You're welcome.
Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to our speakers for addressing the questions from our audience. So let's take a moment to appreciate our incredible speakers for sharing their knowledge and insights with us today. Can we give them a round of applause, a virtual round of applause? Okay. Now we, as a special treat, we have a photography session planned for all of you. We invite all attendees to turn on their cameras and strike a pose. Screenshot will be taken. So jom buka kamera. Gallery view. Dengar suara. Okay. Semua ready tak? Oh, ramai yang tak buka, tak nak buka Lah, yang mana first view ni. Okay. So let's take a formal picture dulu Ready? Kita punya technical. Ready? Alright. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Ambil ke tak ambil tu? Ambil. Okay. Okay, semua give a thumbs up semua. Okay. Ready? Ready, 1, 2, 3. Tak tahu dia ambil ke tak ambil tu. Ambil Boleh, betul. Alright. Okay, last one, freestyle. Macam mana freestyle? Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you all for your active involvement and making this Career Talk program a real success. We hope that the we hope that the knowledge and inspiration you have gained today will propel your professional journey. Remember, your career is a journey of continuous learning and growth. Stay determined, remain open to opportunities, and never stop exploring your true potential. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the organizing team. Good job, guys, for making this program possible. It's a good start to more fruitful programs in the future. So everyone, do not forget to fill in your attendance and fill in the feedback form for today. The link will be shared in the chat box. Okay, and with that, we officially conclude this Career Talk event. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Next year kita adakan lagi talk ni. Kita jumpa lagi.